All right, at 9:30, if we'll all rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If we'll do a roll call, please.
Scholl.
Here.
McIntyre.
Here.
DeCook.
Here, we have a quorum. Are there any agenda deletions or corrections? Seeing none, the consent agenda. Number one, claim $740,447.71. B, minutes to approve regular meetings 11/10/20 and 11/17/20. C, approve hire Michael Manning, driver's license clerk, treasurer's office, effective December 7, 2020. D, approve hire Alicia Peterson, motor vehicle clerk, treasurer's office, effective November 18, 2020. E, approve hire Nathan Allen, sheriff's office, communications director, effective December 1, 2020. F, approve step increase for Chad Elliott, EO2 secondary roads, effective December 23, 2020. G, approve 6-month wage increase for Jacob Henderson Baird, mechanic, secondary roads, effective December 22, 2020. H, approve 6-month wage increase for Dustin Ryland, EO2 secondary roads, effective December 15, 2020. I, approve 6-month wage increase for Alan Brommel, MG2 secondary roads, effective December 8, 2020. J, rescind resolution 20-221K regarding tax abatement. K, rescind resolution 20-221G regarding tax abatement. L, set public hearing dates for 12/15/2020 at 6:30 for review of Big Sky Acres Plat 2 submitted by Larry Hughes. M, set public hearing date for 12/15/2020 at 6:35 p.m. for proposed ordinance change to Chapter 41 of the Warren County zoning ordinance.
I would move the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Scholl.
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Consent agenda passes. Number 2, we have consider change orders on Justice Center project with possible action. Looks like Megan.
Yes. Okay, so the first item is with DDVI. And this item is part of the shell space, the additional shell space that in the basement. This is for some masonry work, additional masonry work in that shell space. It is for $17,075.52. And then I included in your packets, you also have that budgetary listing of where we're at. So it's still within that where we had anticipated about $300,000 for that shell space. So that one's with DDBI. The next one is also with DDBI, and the amount of this one is a decrease of $87,380, and this is on the contingency side. There was in the technical document, there was a difference in the fireproofing, and so it actually, what the code actually requires erred on the side of lessening the amount of fireproofing that needed to go in there, so it's a reduction for DDBI. The next one is also to DDBI, and this one is shoring in the basement when the shelter in place changes happen to shelter in place that 911 communications. They had to do some shoring to be able to continue on in that basement area. So this one is an increase of $8,961.11. And then the final change order is with Core Structural, and this is also on the basement shell piece of it within that budget. This one is because because of the shell space and the backfill ability at the construction site, they had anticipated being wrapped further along than they were, and now we've gone into winter conditions for pouring the concrete. So this one is to pour structural for $12,813.76. And this is that winter conditions that wasn't anticipated at the time it went out for bid because they didn't know they were gonna be doing that shell space. So those are the pieces that go into it, and then you have that budgetary breakdown in your packets as well. So on the budgeted change for that shell space, we're still within that 300,000, what we estimated at the time that we took on the shell space. And then on our contingency side, because we had such a large decrease with this change order, we're running about 27%. So those are the change orders for the Justice Center.
Are there any questions?
I would move the change orders.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none other than simple math, up 17, down 87, up 8, up 12. That net's about a reduction of net down 50. We don't see that many net downs, and net down 50 is a good number. So I'm really pleased with that. Still on budget, still on time. Seems like it's going in the right direction. So that's my comment. Roll call, please.
Scholl,
Aye.
McIntyre,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, motion carries. Number 3, do we have 940? We do not. It's 9:36, so we cannot go into public hearing yet. Let's do number 5, consider entrance variance application from Mike Gelder with possible action. Is that David?
Yeah, and I think Mike's here as well.
Yes.
So we met Mike out there. He originally applied for a field entrance. It was determined that he'd rather go for an address.
Right.
The original spot he marked was less than the site distance shown on the application. He did work with us to find about the only spot that would be viable for him across from his existing residential entrance.
Correct.
So I think it's important to mention, he had been working with our department to find the best spot possible. And that gets us at 400 feet site distance. There's a large pond kind of in the way, and the hills in the area don't really make a better spot along that frontage. So our department would be okay with the variance being granted. We just, when we get that much under the 500-foot distance requirement, we still want to bring it to the board for their final say. And if you have anything to add, you're more than welcome to.
I brought pictures if they need them. If they don't, then I sent them in with my application.
Are those the pictures that are in my?
Are the ones that we sent you already?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think so. Okay. Do we have a motion?
I would move the entrance variance application.
I'll second, okay. Crystal can second it. Motion and a second. Any discussion? I just wanted to say thank you, Mr. Gelder, for coming in. Thank you also for working with our engineer on trying to come up with the best
No problem at
solution.
all.
I think that this is one of those things that, when you try to work with the county and do it the right way, sometimes we can bend a little bit to make something feasible. So tip of the cap to you for that one. Roll call, please.
Scholl,
Aye.
McIntyre,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank
You bet.
1 minute.
9, oh, go ahead.
You have 1 minute.
9:39.
Six.
So we're gonna wait till 9:40. Looks like we have about 15 seconds or so until we can do our public hearing on the ATV, UTVs. 8:40. Do we have a motion to go into public hearing?
I would move we go into public hearing for the Warren County Ordinance, Chapter 9, registration and operation of all-terrain vehicles, ATVs, UTVs, and off-road vehicles.
Second.
Motion and a second. Tracy?
Scholl.
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, we are now in public hearing regarding Warren County Ordinance, Chapter 9, registration and operation of all-terrain vehicles, ATVs, utility task vehicles, and off-road vehicles, UTV with possible action. And David, would you start?
Yeah, I'll do a brief summary since the last reading. We received a lot of good feedback at our first reading for this ordinance. I did post to the website an edited version of the document based on the majority of comments we did receive. So based on that, one of the comments was to get rid of the stipulation that would be during that time after sunset and before sunrise. So that's crossed out in the edited version, and then a lot of the comments received had to do with helmets. So in Part B under operator, we put that helmets must be worn during operation of ATVs if the operator is under 18 years of age. And then additionally, we added some maps with the different traffic volumes to show what it would look like depending on what the board decides. But again, everything is up to further comment and review. So at that time, I'd welcome any more feedback on how the ordinance is written, so we can keep moving forward with it.
David, what was the first?
The first, one of the comments we got a few times at the first hearing was the time of operation. Some people felt that restricting it to only basically daylight hours, use only, was a little too restrictive. We didn't want to delete anything from the original document, so we just crossed it out, put it in red, based on those comments. I think some people felt that with the ATVs and UTVs having lighted headlights and taillights, similar to a vehicle, that would be a lot safer during nighttime hours.
David, can you go through on the redos on the red can't drive zone? The first one was what we had in round one. Can you tell me what the traffic counts were on each of those?
Yeah, in short, we just put it arbitrarily up by 50 vehicle increments. We can produce whatever maps we want in any increments.
So the first one was how many?
The first one on the ordinance was greater than 150 vehicles a day. We showed restrictions. And we go from 50
And then
vehicle per day increments up to 400 with the maps. Or you could allow it on all gravel roads. So you get those higher ranges, you're really just seeing County Line Road and then a few roads around Indianola.
And that's at 400?
Yeah, starting at 300 to 400, you get more around Indianola, and then County Line Road, which is our highest traveled road, stays in the red on the Madison County side.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this?
I've got a lot of people on here. If you'd like to speak for the hearing, you can unmute yourself and state your name and your address.
Hello, this is Noel Isaac at 22210 38th Avenue. I've been unable to locate the document that was just referred to that's on the site, so I'm going to defer to any comment regarding that until I can see it. But if I can get that actually emailed to me, I can put it out on our Facebook page and through the petition email roster. I'm just going to go back to, there was 612 people up to date on the petition for this ordinance. supporting it. I had roughly about 400 of the signatures are applicable to Warren County citizens. So about 2/3 of that people just randomly sign stuff and not pay attention to the verbiage, I guess. But I appreciate you all taking the time to look into this and the work that you've done. I'm gonna just say that I believe that all the laws permitting farmers to use these on public roadways, whether it be a gravel road or a paved road, I believe should be applicable to all citizens of Warren County, as long as they're operating within those guidelines established by yourselves. But that's all I'm going to say right now until I get that email to me, and I'll work with the ladies to get that email to me.
No, that's posted on the county website. If you go to the county's homepage, there's a box that says notices, and if you click on notices, that ordinance is listed in there.
Okay, I was actually on the supervisor side of the website, so I'll,
Yeah, it's a link from the homepage. It says notices. It's up in the upper left-hand corner.
All right, I got it.
Okay,
Thank you very
awesome.
much. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public who would like to speak?
Yes, I would, please.
Sure.
Your name and address?
Roger Cool, 8076 104th Lane, Indianola. My street is actually, is a lane off of Grimes Street, about a half mile west of, about a half mile east of R63. I sent an email last week explaining my opposition to an ordinance that allows any recreational use of ATVs on county roads. Because when you live on a county road and you experience daily recreational use, it's obvious to me that they're not operated safely. They're not operated in respect of adjoining landowners. It's like listening to a chainsaw constantly. You know, I saw this subject come up a couple of years ago. It was like an Iowa tourism thing, touting how it would be good for people to be able to ride ATVs on our lovely county roads. And Warren County is beautiful. I've had the top chance to go all through the county, particularly in southeast Warren County. It's absolutely gorgeous. Nice touring. But I'm telling you that with the hilly terrain, the curves, the driveway cuts, many of which are not easy to see and really affect visibility, recreational use of ATVs is simply dangerous, very dangerous. I don't see people operating these on a straight line, just touring. It's racing, it's chasing, it's like playing tag. No helmets, young children. It's just not safe. Now, personally, I don't like them, period. I have neighbors who use them for farming, for doing chores, for running back and forth to feed their animals. I have no problem with that. But it is your responsibility that I see on the road, and for that reason, I ask you not to adopt this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to speak?
Yes, my name's...
Excuse me.
Okay.
yes, my name's Steve Eckert, Hartford, Iowa, 340 North Washington Street. So I echo what Noel said about it would be nice if the use was equal to what the farmers do now. All the roads that they get to go on and everything like that. As far as what Roger's comment, I agree with him. Those people are out there. It doesn't matter if you pass this ordinance or not, they're still going to be doing that. That's a matter that you need to call into the sheriff and have them take care of. The people like Noel and I see Sabrina's on here, we ride in groups. We're not crazy like that. These UTVs that we use, they have seat belts in them. If the seat belt's not fastened, it won't go more than 15 miles an hour. They roll cages. They're safer than a motorcycle. You have two-wheeled motorcycles going down these roads. These things are a lot safer than that. And as far as the noise, groups of Harleys, we have groups of Harleys that go through town and down the road. Oh my goodness, they're super loud. So I don't see the noise of a UTV or an ATV being an issue. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there anyone else?
Hello, my name is Sabrina Johnson, 21049 S23 Highway, Lacona. I also echo that about motorcycles. I live on S23 between Milo and Lacona. This may not be the best road, but it is definitely very well traveled by motorcycles. I understand the concerns that the gentleman raised about fast operators on UTVs or kids that feel like they're never going to get hurt by anything. I do like that you updated this rule to require helmets for operators under the age of 18. I think that that is necessary because, like I had said on the last call, it makes it easier for a mom to enforce a rule rather than her own rule. And then one of the things that I have been thinking about since the last hearing is that there are several vehicles that we currently operate on today's roads that don't require doors. So, for example, we have a Jeep, and we take that Jeep now out on the county roads and travel in a similar fashion that we would our UTV. It has headlights, it has brake lights, it has seat belts, it doesn't have doors. You know, a lot of times it doesn't even have a roof. It doesn't have a roll cage, just like the UTV. And so I think that, as someone had mentioned earlier, you know, for those who are not being cautious or not following the rules, those need to be turned into law enforcement, and then those can be addressed. Whether we have a rule or not, they're still going to do that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Glenn Knowles, 11647 Lucas Place. I'd like to comment on, like Noel was saying, I believe we should be able to operate our UTVs out on the county roads safely. I do have turning lights, brake lights, headlights. Like the other lady was saying, I got a roll cage. I'm not a youngster. We usually drive in groups of 4. We do a lot of sightseeing, regardless of what Roger had to say. We don't rip up and down roads. We do speed limits. To me, a UTV is a lot safer to beat on the road than a tractor that's doing 10 miles an hour, and you pop over the hill doing 40, and there he is. I like this ordinance, you know, that you've got going. I'd like to see something done where we could drive on roads without breaking the law, because I know we're not supposed to right now, but we still do. We sightsee and stuff. Like I said, we're not 64 years old. I don't race up and down roads like a teenager. I'd like to be able to come up and down roads like everybody else without being in a car. And that's about all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for the people that are on, did anyone have a chance to look at our website with the different traffic counts? Or have any thoughts on that?
This is Sean Streeter, 16565 118th Avenue, Indianola. Once again, I just wanted to state how appreciative we are of everybody coming together and working on this. I did just get a chance. We had it posted to the Facebook page, and the road update is it's a whole lot nicer looking when you look at that map opposed to the first one. So we really appreciate that as well. As far as the gentleman's comments on the safeties of young kids racing up and down the road, to be completely honest, I think that's going to happen whether it passes or this doesn't passes. I think if it does pass, I think parents are a little more apt to say you need to wear your helmets, slow down. If it's something that they're going to be legally doing, then follow the rules. Right now, nobody's legally allowed to do this, so it's just kind of a free-for-all out there. I do think good things will come out of this. I live on a gravel road myself, right in front of Lake Aquabi, and I can't tell you how many times the speed limit is broken on my road with cars, trucks. I've seen people doing 70 mile an hour towing boats out of Hopper Pond, out of my road. So I think UTVs and ATVs speeding and reckless driving is the least of my concerns, at least in my neighborhood. And it's more about the young kids. I've chased young kids down my road in little $500 cars that are drifting around corners on the gravel. I think the UTV portion of speeding and reckless driving out here in the country is kind of our least concerns right now. That is all. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. Do you have anything else?
Hi, I have a more of a question than a comment, I guess. It's Jeremy Mominkle, 2410 153rd Avenue, Carlisle. I was just glancing at the traffic maps, and that it looks way better, depending on which number you pick, obviously. So the question I have, I guess, would be a more selfish question. Is there room for interpretation on the traffic counts? As far as, even if you set it at 200, is there like an appeals process to potentially get another road added? The reason I ask is the road I live on is essentially a dead end. So, because there's a county bridge that's out now, and it's been out for a year or so, roughly. But there's a lot of houses here, so there's a lot of traffic off of the highway. But it's only people that come here are people who live here, right? So I was just questioning if that's something that has been thought through, or if it's something that's a possibility.
So you're on Buchanan?
I'm on 153rd, but yes, it would be that bridge out on Buchanan is what makes us essentially a dead end. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think that's been thought of yet, Jeremy, to be honest with you.
And that's fine. I just wanted to bring it up and ask and see what the thoughts were.
Yep, understood.
We can alter the map however we decide. It's up for interpretation at this point. We did budget to replace that structure this year, but with revenues falling short due to COVID, that's been currently put on hold, but it could still be replaced next year possibly, if not still this year. So we're just continuing to monitor the budget, the revenues as they come in. So I think as we look at the maps, we need to act like that bridge is gonna still be replaced in the next couple of years. But that's not to say we take a microscope to the map and add or delete roads based on the comments, if there's dead ends or things of that nature.
The only thing I'd add to that though is that, I mean, if we landed on a number of 250 or 300 or whatever, you pick a number, there's gonna be a few red dots on whatever number, and there's going to be a red dot on a number because the traffic count's higher. And so there's going to be someone who probably will want to ride on that red dot lane no matter what. So, I mean, at some point you gotta pick something and go with it, but I'm willing to look at it and try to be flexible if that is the will of the people. So, okay. I mean, I know what I would do if I lived on a red dot road in one direction. I'm kidding. Okay, is there anyone else from the public? Do we have Mr. Roger, are you back on? I can't hear.
Can I add one more thing?
Absolutely, sir.
With regard to nighttime operation, I would think it'd be be absolutely necessary to maintain a restriction on nighttime use. Ironically or not, Wednesday when I emailed you, that evening after dark, it's Thanksgiving Eve, the traffic on my road, which hopefully has too high of a traffic count anyway, but it became like a racetrack that night, and without lights. I mean, you could not see them. You could hear them. You knew they were there, but you could not see them. So, if the ordinance is going to go into effect, it absolutely, in my mind, should retain some restrictions requiring lights at night or restricted operation at night. Thank you.
Thank you. And does it not have requirement for lights for evening?
It has requirements for lights at all times.
Yeah.
For visibility, daytime or night.
Okay. Okay. Is there anyone else?
I think one of the comments we received last time was just how dark it gets early in the winter hours. So I don't know if you'd want to consider setting an actual time, like 8 or 9 p.m. and a time in the morning, but that's obviously completely up to you. So that's kind of the comment we heard as well. It gets dark at 5 o'clock during the winter, so we're restricted early on in winter hours.
Yeah, because if you pick dark time, then what is sunset on December 21? I mean, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, it gets dark. That probably doesn't
July
take long.
21, you could be roaring around at 10 at night right before the sun goes down, or 9:30.
Yeah, and then on the other hand, maybe there is some benefit to having some later evening number of 10 o'clock or something. I don't know, for recreational use, just so that people aren't hearing ATVs and UTVs going off at midnight. I can see some benefit to that too. Okay. We are still in public hearing, and we are entertaining any and all comers and comments, if there are some more.
David, what counties did you contact about this?
We received about 12 or 13 ordinances and resolutions from other counties. We sent an email out to all 99, and that's just how many responses we
Were
got.
these smaller counties or?
Most of them are, yes. I can get you a list of that after it's a meeting if you prefer.
I'd like that too, because I have some liability questions, and I want to see how long they've had their ordinance for, and what, if any, sort of liability issues have arisen from those. I mean, if they just started it 6 months ago, I'm not as interested, but if they've had it for 3 years or 5 years, I'd be real curious to know what those are.
Yeah, we'll send you those after the meeting and do a list of the counties we did get replies on, as well as their populations, just to get a comparison.
Thank you.
Is this our second reading?
This is your second reading, so your third reading, excuse me, is December 15th at 6:10.
Okay, yeah.
This is Rena Johnson again. Do I need to give my address?
Nope, we got it.
Okay, so I do have a question, and I think we talked about it briefly last time, and it probably is going to be dependent as to whether this ordinance is passed. There are the costs involved with, having the permit or the registration, non-resident permit, those types of things. Has there been any more discussion as to what those costs will be?
At this time, we left it open in the ordinance for the board to set it by the year. But I think that required further discussion with Polly to see what those administrative costs might be. Or the recorder's office might not want to handle it all together, and they're just checking that we're registered with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources. So it's a lot of things up in the air still. That's why we just left it open in the ordinance for the board to decide each year.
special use permit for group organizing special rides. This would not apply to current residents, right? If 7 of my neighbors wanted to go out on a ride on a Sunday, we wouldn't need a special use permit because we already have one, correct?
That number is also up for debate, whether it's 6 or 12 riders or what. As you get higher numbers, we want to see what the event is on a case-by-case basis. Is it a charity ride? Is it something of that nature where you have 50 UTVs going down the road with the board want them to have an escort, for instance? Similar to what you see with like processions and things of that nature. But
Understood.
that number's up in the air. I don't know what the right answer to that is, if it's 6 riders, if it's 12 riders, but at some point, it'd be safer with a high volume of riders to get some sort of escorts at the front and back.
It just takes me back to the motorcycles that come by on S23. They're well over 6 riders, and so I was just wondering if that applied to those of us who would have registrations and current permit, or if that would apply to us.
Is that what's written in there right now, David, is 6?
Right now it's 6. You need to come before the board and just file an application and discuss what you're planning on doing. It's meant to cover events such as charity rides, but again, I'm not sure what the magic number is for that.
Maybe it's, in my mind,
Maybe
it's
it doesn't.
not 6. I mean, I don't know. I mean, 6 neighbors could get together, and that doesn't make a lot of sense. I think it needs to be something higher, but we've got another reading, we've got some more work to do. Maybe we can add that. And fee, one of the things I'll tell you that I was thinking for fee, I don't want it, if we pass it, I don't want it to be punitive, I want there to be something. But it would be my preference to have those funds sort of earmarked for the county and maybe for cleanup. I mean, I think that the other ordinance is probably gonna pass today. And so that's one of those, the illegal dumping ordinance is gonna pass today, and that's gonna be one of those things where we're gonna need some funds. So, if we had a $10 or $25 registration fee to ride UTVs and ATVs, what better place than to earmark those monies for cameras to catch people that are dumping or wrecking Warren County. So, something to think about, but I don't think it'll be punitive is my take. Okay, anyone else from the public?
I don't see any.
Okay.
I would move we go back to regular session.
I'll second that. A motion and a second to go back to regular session. Any discussion?
Tracy? Scholl.
Aye.
McIntyre. DeCook.
Aye.
Is McIntyre still here?
Well, we're back in regular session.
Oh, we lost her.
Uh-oh.
I'm readmitting her.
Okay. Well, we'll give her a moment. That way she can be on the record.
Are you there, Crystal? Are you there, Crystal?
Yes, I'm back. Thank you.
And Crystal, are you good with going back to regular session? We've got a motion and a second.
Yes.
Okay. All right, 3-0, we're back in regular session. This was the second reading of the ordinance. The next one is scheduled for December 15th at, what was it, 6:30?
6:10, I believe.
6:10. So if you have some additional questions, fire off some emails or pick up the phone. I think that there's still some work to do on the count number, the registration number, the 6, I think needs to be changed. What we do with evening, I think maybe there's some, I certainly think that if you're riding after dark, that lights would be an absolute must. If you're not, that's that's pretty dangerous in my mind. But maybe there's also a number or an evening number that it stops, that the recreational use stops. That way, you know, people who have young children and who maybe don't want to hear a four-wheeler at 1 o'clock in the morning, that makes sense to me too. So we got a little work to do. Okay, we're past 9:50, so we can certainly jump into the next public hearing, which is item number 4, public hearing for Warren County Ordinance Chapter 6, illegal dumping on publicly owned property with possible action. This is our second reading, and by the law, I don't think we're required to have a third reading. So
You may waive the third reading if that's what you choose to do.
perfect.
I would move we go to a public hearing for Warren County Ordinance Chapter 6, illegal dumping on publicly owned property.
Second.
Motion and a second. Tracy?
Schultz.
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, we are in public hearing. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak? Actually, let's start with Dawn. Dawn, do you have any updates from the last public hearing, or we have?
I do not have any updates
Okay.
from the last hearing.
All right, is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this matter? I will speak. I will say that the silence from the public on this matter leads me to believe that they are not in favor of people dumping trash and appliances and vehicles and everything else on our roads. And so I take that as a positive. I haven't heard one person reach out to me and say, that's a terrible idea. Why would we enhance penalties and the ability to catch people who are dumping illegally in Warren County? I haven't heard that from anyone. I don't. Have my colleagues heard that from anyone?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, sounds to me like we might have found the one issue in 2020 that everyone, literally everyone, agrees with. That is the unifying message of our mutual disdain for those who dump illegally in our county. Perfect. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to weigh in? Nope. Okay. With that, would anyone like to make a motion that I might encourage you to waive the third reading on as well for this
We
matter?
need to go back to.
Oh, sure, sure.
I move we go back to regular session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Tracy?
Schultz.
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Sorry for jumping the gun.
I would move that we adopt Warren County Ordinance Chapter 6, illegal dumping on public property as presented, and waive the third reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Tracy?
Schultz.
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. That is a great thing. Thank you all. Motion carries. We will move that one along, and like I said, I do think that it's going to take some funding next year to help with the enforcement of it, but that's a good first step, so awesome. All right, moving on to number 6, consider vacate portion of right-of-way on parcel number 23000250242 with possible action.
So this is an instance where a resident's building a house out there and kind of questioned the additional right-of-way the county had. We went back to the old plans when G76 was built. We assumed they took the additional right-of-way to use as a borrow area to construct the road. But with the site visit and meeting with the property owner, our staff determined that we really don't need this right-of-way anymore. So if the property owner is willing to bear the survey costs, we would allow it to be vacated at the board's approval.
And is the property owner willing to bear the survey? What
Yes, survey and recording costs.
And they're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
David, you're gonna maintain part of that right away, is that correct?
That's correct. We sent the old right-of-way map as part of the packet, but we maintain that 55-foot strip of right-of-way through there. We really have no use for the .66 acres that we have additional right-of-way on that property.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is the homeowner on today? No. No. Okay.
I would move that we vacate the portion of right-of-way on partial number 23-00025-0242.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? See none. Tracy?
Scholl?
Aye.
McIntyre?
Aye.
DeCook?
Aye, motion carries. Number 7, consider award contract for R35 10th Avenue Bridge Replacement, project number BROSCHBP -C091 Prince 132-GA-91 with possible action.
This is part of our bundled bridges that the state came out with. I believe this one's bundled actually with Monroe County, but it is on the Madison County line. It's just how they set up the packages. We received one bid total on this project from Herbert Construction Company at $713,284.12. And the engineer's estimate on it was $798,000. So we recommend award the contract to Herbert Construction Company. As part of the resolution that we attached with the board packet, you're also acknowledging that I'll be able to sign off on behalf of the board for these bundled bridges.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I would move that we accept the contract,
Award contract.
award the contract to Herbert for $713,284.12 for the bridge at R35 10th Avenue replacement. Project number BROSCH BP-CO91 Prince 132-GA91.
Second. Tracy, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Didn't David want something about signatures in there?
Yeah, the resolution's pretty beefy, but it authorizes myself to sign these sort of contracts on the board's behalf. I think, is that the resolution right there, Megan?
Yeah, the full I can read the full resolution content
No,
if
that's
you need
okay.
me to.
Just for the purposes of the bundled bridges projects?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Motion and a second. Tracy?
Scholl?
Aye.
McIntyre?
Aye.
DeCook?
Aye, motion carries. Number 8, consider approval of FY20 GAAP annual financial report with possible action.
Each year, the county does 2 financial reports, required to do 2 financial reports. The first one is the cash basis. We budget on a cash basis, and we do an annual financial report on a cash basis. That one I've already presented to the board, and that's the one that gets published. So it's been presented, published, and posted. The GAAP financial report is where you factor in your accruals. The county is required to report on an accrual basis, though we budget on a cash basis. So the accrual report takes out items that were processed in expenditures and revenues that were actually for fiscal year 19, but were paid out of fiscal year 20. And then it factors in those items that were paid or revenue that was done in fiscal year 21, but was actually for fiscal year 20. So you're taking some out and you're adding some more back in. And then that's just a way of the actual snapshot of what the county looks like when you factor in those delays. So you've got a 3-month delay for July, August, and September. So when you just look at that gap summary, there's not huge differences. Actually, this year was even less so. For the total expenditures, the difference between the cash and the gap was $3,406 when you factor in. The difference on the revenue was a little larger, is $747,463. And that's predominantly, the big piece of that was secondary roads had a bridge replacement funds that came from the state. We didn't receive the money until fiscal year 21, but it was for fiscal year 20, and that in and of itself was $605,000. So those kind of large items that cross over those fiscal years is what that gap report is attempting to capture. So the summary and all of the details are within your packet. I just ask that the board approve so that can be posted for to end the fiscal year.
I would move that we approve the FY20 GAAP annual financial report.
Second.
Any discussion? None. Tracy?
Scholl.
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Megan. Number 9, discussion of administration building, public access, and door monitor continuation with possible action.
So previously, when the board reopened the administration building, the directive was to have a door monitor, which we have, and it was to continue through December 31st. Chairman DeCook let me put this back on the agenda simply as a courtesy to the employees that we temporarily hired. They were asking if it was going to continue or if it was going to be discontinued as of 12/31 as originally intended. So I just wanted to make sure the board was thinking about those and whether or not they were wanting to continue it. It's not something necessarily that you have to decide today. I do have a map of the numbers from yesterday for the 14-day positivity rate for Warren County. You know, we've got most of the county is still running between 9 and 25%. This is from the county website. The yellows and oranges are not good. So we're still running at those high percentages. The governor's proclamations as far as a little more restrictive with the mask and the prohibiting of 15 and less government, those are all through December 10th. So again, it's a little premature, but I was hoping I would have some ability to tell the temporary staffing whether or not their position would be continuing into January or not. So I don't know if the board has any thoughts on that, if you'd like to delay that until the 15th to discuss it again, to bring it back up and see, but I just wanted to get some input from the board if there's anything additional that was needed.
What date did they start?
Oh, September 15th, I think it was.
I think that sort of sounds right too. You know, my off-the-cuff take on dates and timing would be, to extend through at least 6 months. I know that we have we have different rules for employees at 6 months, I believe. And so, because of our positivity rates, I don't have any issue with continuing them on. I think they're doing a good job. And I think it does make the building a bit more safe. I know they've passed out masks. In fact, I've gotten a mask from them a few times. They're doing temp checks and they're helping direct traffic, to be honest. And so I don't see any reason to deviate. It's not like the numbers have decreased since September 15th. In fact, they went up pretty substantially. And so I don't think it would make much sense in my mind to pull the plug on that, just because we did set it for an end of the year. But so my take would be to continue them on through a period of not to exceed 6 months, and then we can revisit as a future board. Probably that's late February, early March, but it should buy a little time. Those are my thoughts. Crystal or Doug, do you have additional thoughts on the admin building and our current policy?
I think you pretty much summed it up for me. Thank you.
Would you like a motion or?
Yeah,
I mean,
let's make it formal, that way we don't have to bring it back up on the 15th, otherwise
Right.
we're gonna just run into that same issue.
Right, yeah.
Because our original motion was through the end of the year.
Correct.
So let's do a motion for not to exceed 6 months from start date of what I think is September 15th, but just a 6-month period or a day under
And
or
that
whatever.
would take us to March?
Mid-March.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and that temporary status is an IPERS.
Gotcha.
It's a consideration that I think we have to be cognizant of. But we'll have a new board in about a month from now, or a month and a couple days. So, you know, we can address it later. So let's just make it March, continuation through March 1 would be the motion I'd be looking for. Or I can make myself.
I would move that motion.
Okay. So we'll continue on with our same administration building policy as formally adopted on or about September 15th through March 1. And then we can regroup as a new board and figure out where we're at, what the positivity rates are, and, you know, where we are with the vaccine.
I'll bring it
and
back
so
in
on.
February, and once we know where we're at that time.
Perfect. Okay, we have a motion. I'll second it. Any discussion on it? Seeing none, Tracy?
Scholl.
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll let's let them know that today too. I'm
Yes,
sure
yes,
they're-
yeah.
In fact, I've been asked that from them. I think it's appropriate to let our employees know exactly what's going on. And assuming at least the one that I spoke with, she was desirous of continuing on.
Yes.
So I think both of them think that, or desire that, so. Okay. Supervisors report, number 10. Crystal, would you like to go first?
Sure. All right. I met with Aging Resources Board of Director meeting, and there is a type of funding from the CARES Act that can be used to purchase our kitchen appliances in the courthouse and jail. So that is to be determined as far as the amounts. And second, the Mid-Iowa Development Fund Board of Directors, we are waiting on the EDA for approval, and then we can begin receiving applications for the funds use. And then we had an Emergency Management Agency Commission meeting. Quorum was not met, but a lot of discussion. So, and that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Scholl.
I asked the chairman if I could save my minutes to be used on December 15th, my last meeting.
Absolutely. And mine, I'll keep it really brief. I just wanted to make the public aware that Supervisor Scholl's last board meeting will be on December 15th, and we're going to reserve a little time for him to say whatever in the world he'd like to say. He's certainly earned it. He's served a long time both here and at the legislature. It's been a pleasure to work with him. Also, congratulations to Darren Heater, who will be our new Board of Supervisor and swearing in on January 4.
No, December 28th.
We'll work on the dates on that one, but it's coming up. I think it's early in January, but it is what it is. And I look forward to working with Mr. Heater as well, the new board. One of the things I wanted to tell the public in my supervisor's report, I sort of view the report, as you all know, as an opportunity to discuss with you things. We don't take any action on them, but we are in a public meeting with a quorum, and so it's perfectly legit to share, and then everyone sort of knows where we're at. One of the things that I will say, I have been approached by a number of people in Warren County, and I don't, I'm not 100% there one way or the other. So I'm sort of on the fence on it. But one of the things that some people have came up and asked about, or really wanted me to pursue, is looking at our Board of Supervisors and specifically the number of our supervisors. Some counties, the larger that they get, they increase the number of supervisors from usually 3 to 5. There's some different ones. And I think that there's some benefit in doing that, and I think that there are some drawback in doing that. And so I will just explain my thoughts, and then I'll explain process. But my thoughts are going from 3 to 5, that would be after a census. There's really 2 ways in which that can happen. And ultimately, it's a vote of the public on one of the elections. It would be a question to the public, and they will get the final say on that. But to get to that point, to get it on a ballot initiative, there's really 2 ways for that to happen. One, the public can petition to make that happen. And I believe legal looked into that, and it was 3,500 signatures or 3,000 signatures, something in that nexus. It's some percentage of the people who voted in a prior election, which I will tell you, our last election had very, very high turnout. And so that percentage is probably going to, by default, go up and go up somewhat substantially. That's option 1. The second option is to sort of circumvent the legwork, if you will, of getting signatures, and the current sitting board would have the ability just to put effectively whatever we'd like to put on a ballot initiative. We could do so, but I think that there's some downside to it, and I'll explain that. The negative of going to 5 is pretty clearly the cost. We are a part-time elected official. There are benefits to the position. Not everyone takes those benefits, but they're not insignificant. If you're on the county health plan, the percentage of county contribution and effectively taxpayer dollars to make that happen are substantial. And so going from 3 to 5, if all 5 were to elect healthcare benefits, that's not insignificant to me. If we kept the salaries the exact same, and I know that there's a comp meeting, I think, coming up on December 7th that I'll be attending. And I think the board historically has not given themselves raises. There's sort of a standing tradition here in the county, and I don't disagree with that either. But my point is, if there's 5 people doing the work of what 3 people are doing now, I would tell you it would be my strong preference to decrease salary expectations, to also probably look at benefits. I think you'd have to look at that too. So there's the cost aspect. Now, with respect to the other thing that I think, and I'm sure my colleague Crystal would agree on this, one of the things is that logistically, I have some issue with finding how you get 5, if we were to go to 5. Because everyone's aware that there's 3 communities, and I would lump Cumming and Norwalk together as sort of one. It's a school district, but that are growing. Norwalk is growing a lot. It's growing a lot. That's my town. And I love Norwalk, so plug Norwalk. Indianola also has a very substantial population base, and they're also growing. And the reality is that when you take Indianola, Carlisle, and Norwalk Cumming zone, you add those 3 population centers together, you're getting a pretty hefty majority of Warren County population. And so how this county could split up 5, right now we have districts. So I've got sort of the Northwest District. Supervisor Scholl sort of has Indianola and a little to the west, and Supervisor McIntyre comes in with about 74% of the actual county spread out. And so I don't know what that would look like, but I think the fear, and I think it's justifiable, is that running for a county election or running for any election, numbers matter. They matter a lot. If you have population centers and you got a positive name in your population center, well, by default, you've got 10 or 15,000 people that know you. My guess is it could be very conceivable that depending on how you split it up, Norwalk and Indianola would pick up an additional Board of Supervisor representative, and that might further a chasm between population centers and the rural parts of Warren County, and I think that could be problematic. So how that would be split up, I think, matters. Pay matters, benefits matter, cost effectively. Now, the positive side to it is that legally, the 3 board members now have the ability to talk in these meetings, and but if we're together not at a public meeting and we're talking about county business, which we don't, but if we did, that's going to be violative of the quorum open meetings laws. And there's a little handy dandy book that I have in my office about the open meeting laws, and so I can't just swing on by Doug's house and ask him what he thinks about the UTV ATVs outside of this meeting and where he wants to fall on this and that and this and that. In a couple of weeks I could, but right now I can't. So the ability to talk with our colleagues, I think that is really the benefit of going to 5. So here's my point. My point of that long-winded speech is this. There are 2 ways to do it. I think we've got a new board member coming up in January. I'm not inclined to circumvent the standard process. I know that the people that want to go to 5 want me to do so and to get a vote and put it on the ballot. And my take is this. I think there's pluses and negatives to that proposed change. I think that it's best to ultimately let the people of Warren County make that determination. If they are so inclined to go to 5, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not also I'm not leading the charge on it either. I'm relatively indifferent on 3 or 5. There's benefits and negatives, as I said. So my take would be if people are inclined to do that, then the petition process is the right way to go about making that happen. I'm not going to personally be offended if the people of Warren County state we want to go to 5. That's probably not a great glowing review of the 3 of us, but it is what it is. But so if that is the desire, the process is there, and if the people are really on board with wanting to do that, then it's signature fill out time, and in a few weeks or a month from now or 2 months or however hard you want to hit it, present those signatures and your issue will get on a ballot. And then the people will vote for it. I don't even know what the rules are, if it's 60% or 2/3 or if it's a simple majority. I honestly haven't looked at it. So I just wanted to put that out there because I have been getting a fair amount of emails and phone calls from people that are desirous of that. And so that is the process. I am disinclined to move it forward on my own. And so we'll have a new board member soon. I don't actually know where he's at. I don't know exactly where my colleagues are at on it either. But that's how I see it. So I wanted to let you know, those are my thoughts. Lastly, today is, I think they make up a new name for everything. There's Small Business Saturday and Black Friday, big box store, and I think today is Giving Tuesday. So my ask to those that are listening is that, for those that are financially able to do so, to be generous this holiday season. And 2020 has certainly been rough for a lot of our small businesses. If you can keep things local and you're able to, just one of the things that I know is happening in Norwalk is that there's a lot of people that are that want to do something special for teachers, because their teachers are really getting double duty and triple duty between remote learning and quarantine kids. They're not getting paid extra to do it. And so there is a group that was starting to do some gift certificates. And so they're buying local gift certificates. And I think they're going to do some deliveries to some teachers. But whatever the charity is, there's lots of great ones. I know Mr. Scholl's very active with the Heel House. There's lots of great opportunities to try to make a difference and to be a positive impact during the holiday season. And I would just encourage you, if you're so able to do so and make the world a little bit better place. So that is my report. Number 11, public input. Comments limited to 3 minutes per individual. The board will not take any action on public comments due to the requirements of the open meetings law, but may do so in the future. No public input will be allowed for any of today's agenda items. Do we have anyone from the public? Seeing none, we're going to move next regular meeting date. I'm going to check the dates because last time I think I put 2021 out there. I read it wrong. It's December 15, 2020. It's our evening meeting. This board 2 years ago decided to switch meetings so that they weren't all in the morning for ease of access, and then COVID hit and we still have a relatively empty room, but we're trying. That's also Supervisor Scholl's last meeting, and so I look forward to hearing from Doug on his thoughts. And again, I commend you for your service, Doug. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Tracy?
Scholl.
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you all for your time. All right, we got an 11:30, don't we?
Tracy, what's the